Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the BSGL. Season 2 is over. We are part of the way through the off-season. We've gotten through all this stuff in case you missed the last off-season video, just that nice little short recap, but it is time. It is finally time for the draft, and I cannot explain to you guys just how excited I truly am. I mean, we've got 15 custom prospects in this draft. And not only that, but I was looking at just some college stats and like some just different stuff for the other prospects, and even the non-customs look pretty dang good. This is a pretty stacked draft class, especially like I said, or not like I said, but especially in comparison to the first one. Not because the customs are better or like a ton better, just because the non-customs look a ton better. They look way, way better than last year's. I very well could be wrong, but I'm just ready to get into it. So without further ado, let's go into the draft. So here we are in the draft. Do I have to push something? Oh, wow, okay. Wow, this is flying right along. Okay, Brandon Cripps goes number 1 overall. Hopefully that I paused that, because that was flying by. My lord, that was like 10 seconds into the draft. Okay, obviously the Town Hawks are picking first. This is a rough start. The Town Hawks were picking first. They take Brandon Cripps out of Michigan State, the super duper senior out of Michigan State. Played 6 years at Michigan State, so that is kind of his downfall. He's a little bit old, but won all 6 years, won the Big Ten title alongside teammate Jamal Pope. As I've got some college stats to bring up for you, Brandon Cripps averaged 20.1 points, 3.6 rebounds, 16.6 assists, and 2.9 steals at Michigan State in his final season. He was first in the nation in assists and 4th in steals, so he'll be a very, very solid pickup there for the Town Hawks at the 1 guard. As I do also have another thing to go over for this draft. I did a mock draft. So who I had going at number 1 was either Rustin Gilstrap or Miles Waddell. So I'm sure these two guys are coming up, because I thought that the Town Hawks needed a shooting guard or like another big man when they did a point guard, but apparently they disagreed. They're going for talent above all else, I guess, and they are taking Brandon Cripps number 1 overall. They really did not need anybody on either side of the ball. They were good offensively and they were good but not great offensively and defensively. They were not top 10 or bottom 10 and everything. They were middle of the pack. So somehow they got lucky enough to get the number 1 overall pick, and they're taking Brandon Cripps. So we'll go ahead on to the next pick. Drafting now, the Toronto Huskies are on the clock. This is where I wanted to stop. I have the Huskies taking, this is my personal prediction, they had the 3rd worst offense last year. They were middle of the pack in defense, but the 3rd worst offense. So I saw them either taking Brandon Cripps, who is already gone, or I have them also taking Miles Waddell, who I will guess will go in the top 5 for sure, as we know that they need some of that offensive firepower, because they are 3rd worst in the league. So let's go ahead and see who they are going to take. They are taking Amidi Okafor out of South Africa. Okay, very, very defensive-minded point. So they're really trying to drive defense home up there in Canada. Amidi Okafor averaged 15.8 points, 5.4 rebounds, 9.2 assists, 0.6 blocks, and 3.7 steals. He led the nation in steals, and he was 10th in assists in the nation. As I looked at all of the mock drafts, and I grabbed everybody that was projected to go in the first round, and I got all their stats. But then after that, we're going to take the first round nice and slow, but then the second round we're probably going to fly right through. Mostly because last year, I think there was one guy that got picked up from round 2 that actually got signed by his actual team. Zach Harper says he's really impressed by Okafor's ability to play the passing lane. Yeah, led the nation in steals last year, as now the Goblins are on the clock. The Goblins were 12-17 last year, had the 7th worst offense in the league. Not quite as in bad a shape as the Huskies. They were 11-18. Town Hawks were 13-16. I probably should have mentioned that. But they had the 7th worst offense. I had them taking one of the 2 guys that just got drafted because they need some help at the point guard position. So it'll be interesting to see who they take here now that 2 point guards are already gone. Do they reach for another point guard, or do they maybe just go for talent as they're going to take Rod Toby out of MIT, who absolutely destroyed the competition in the prospect game. They're going for the tall guard, as Rod Toby averaged 27.6 points at MIT, 5.8 rebounds, 5.9 assists, a block, and 2.6 steals. He was second in the nation in scoring, and he was tied for fifth in steals. So he's very much a two-way player, a very, very good player for the Goblins. Hopefully he can make a big impact here. As the best part about this draft, too, is I had no idea who was going number one. Pretty much every pick was going to surprise me for sure, which is the best part. But yeah, Rod Toby, very heavily recruited by MIT. First-round pick selected by the Goblins. Yeah, no joke, Sekou. Really giving us good insight there. Here comes the Cobras, who were very, very good in Season 1 and really fell off in Season 2, mostly because of the injury to point guard Evan Stone. They were 12 and 17. They had the 8th worst defense, but they had the 8th best offense. So obviously they need some help on the defensive side, and I think that they need a big man for sure. They've got really good guards in Abraham Dyson and Evan Stone. That's their 1-2 punch at the guards. They got really good guards. They even tried to trade for a center this year, and it did not end up working. So I see them taking a big man, and they do. They take Miles Waddell out of Central Arkansas. They even drafted a center last year late in the draft, but now they've got the 4th overall pick. They're taking Miles Waddell, who averaged 24 points, 11.1 rebounds, 3.1 assists, 3.1 blocks, and 1.2 steals at Central Arkansas last year. Just an absolute beast. Maybe those numbers are a little bit tainted since he played at Central Arkansas. Not a whole lot of tough competition to deal with in there. But he was 8th in the nation in points, 7th in the nation in rebounds, and he was tied for 3rd in the nation in blocks. And whether or not he did play at Central Arkansas, those are some pretty insane numbers and a nice pickup for the Cobras. So we will now go to the Legends. The Legends took my dad, the power forward last year in the draft in the lottery. I think they had the 6th pick last year. They got the 5th this year. They were 11 and 18, just continuing to play below average basketball there in Atlanta. They had the 9th worst defense and the 5th worst offense. They are debatably the worst of the top 5 teams here in the draft. And I think that they need either a shooting guard or a center. The 2 guys that I had them taking are already gone. As there is their shooting guard, they're going to take Rustin Gilstrap out of Indiana and try to address some of that offensive need. As Rustin Gilstrap averaged 28.4 points, 5.9 rebounds, 6.1 assists, 1 block, and 1.8 steals. He led the nation in scoring, as I would guess that we will see his teammate out of IU go here very, very soon. Yep, led the nation in scoring. Find out if he can do anything else at the NBA level. Very much an offensive threat, but still averaged, like I said, he averaged very, very all-around numbers. Just happened to be very focused on scoring, as the Sharks, like I said, going to go ahead and take his teammate from IU. This is Zane Nesbitt, who did very well in the prospect game as well. This is the Sharks. The Sharks were 11 and 18 last year, had the 6th worst defense and the 6th worst offense, maybe even worse than the Legends. I predicted that they'd take another forward. They took Randall Kikanovich last year. Actually, they took Moses Moon, and then the White Whales traded up, and they ended up taking Randall. But yeah, I just don't. I don't see. I did not see them taking a guard because their point guard situation is not terrible. But maybe they're just looking for a little more depth there at the point guard. As Zane Nesbitt last year averaged 22.5 points, 3.4 rebounds, 8.9 assists, no blocks, and 2.2 steals. A very good guard there with some big assist numbers and points numbers. And mostly because he had Rustin to throw the ball to get those points, but now we know where he was picking up all those dimes from. Very savvy pickup for the Sharks here, one that I love. Probably the most creative playmaker I've seen in years. Gotta love that. Maybe a Chris Paul type in Zane Nesbitt, as now the Utah Buzz are on the clock. I hope I don't accidentally skip any more picks. The Buzz were 11 and 18 last year, just terrible. Had the 10th worst offense, 7th worst defense. We're starting to get into the teams that probably should have been higher up in the draft, but that lottery was a little weird. I have them taking either a shooting guard or a power forward. My guess here is Barker Bogey or Carlton Blunt. Going to go right here, and they're taking Barker Bogey. Look at me with the predictions. 7th pick out of Georgetown. Barker Bogey. Let me see if I can find his numbers. Averaged 15.9 points, 2.5 rebounds, 12 assists, and 1.9 steals. He was 4th in assists last year. Very much a playmaking guard, just like Nesbitt, who went before him. Maybe a little bit better in the playmaking and nowhere near as good in the scoring aspect, but still a very solid pickup for the Buzz because they do need some help in that guard situation. Incredibly adept when it comes to knocking the ball loose from the dribbler. Okay, so they're saying he's like his defense as well. So now the Sting are on the clock, the team that pulled off a big round 1 upset in year number 1, and really didn't have much after that. They were 12-17, 9th worst offense. And I also thought that they would grab a point guard, but based on how many point guards have gone already, I'm going to guess that they are not going to grab a point guard. They are grabbing Jamal Pope out of Michigan State, the one that won all those Big Ten titles with Brandon Cribbs. The nice juice box fade there from Jamal, a very big power forward at 7 foot, 255. He averaged 19 points, 12.9 rebounds, 3.3 assists, 3 blocks, and 1.2 assists. He was 3rd in the country in rebounds and 9th in blocks. A very, very good big man. Everything you want from a guy his size, especially running that at the 4. He's got some speed. He's got some shooting touch. He will definitely be a big pickup for the Sharks. His moves have the confidence of someone who has practiced his moves thousands of times. That's very, very good. Very polished player is what that guy had to say about it. I couldn't even see his name. So now the Hilltoppers on the clock. As the Hilltoppers, of course, picking 9th, 12-17 last year, had the 2nd worst offense in the entire league, but the 5th best defense. So if I'm a guessing man, which I am right now, I would say that they're going to take some offensive firepower. I would think that they would take either Xavier Young or Cam Sutton here, Cam Sutton is not a custom, as they will take Xavier Young, just like I predicted. Kind of nailing these predictions so far. I thought for sure they'd need some offensive firepower. Like I said, 2nd worst in the league. And Xavier Young at a Seton Hall averaged 25.3 points, 5.8 rebounds, 4.2 assists, a block, and 1.2 steals. Very, very good. 4th in the nation in points. And he will definitely be able to put up buckets and bunches there for Seton, or not for Seton Hall, for the Hilltoppers. Once again, very, very good pickup. Like I said, this class is stacked. He led all small forwards and made college threes at the draft, or at the draft combine. So the Wolfpack now on the clock. I think they're the only team last year to fire their head coach during the regular season. They were 12-17 last year. Just like the Townhawks, they weren't top 10 or bottom 10 in anything. They were very, very middle of the pack, and probably lower towards the bottom of the middle of the pack. And they need pretty well the best talent available here. And they're going to take Alonzo Copeland. Very interesting. Alonzo Copeland, I did not have him going for a long time. As if you remember, they took Neil Roy very, very early last year, and he did not pan out. So maybe the Wolfpack knows something that we don't, and maybe the Wolfpack is just really, really bad at drafting, as I'm trying to find Alonzo's numbers here. Alonzo averaged 24.4 points, 4.5 boards, 5 assists, 0.9 blocks, and 1.6 steals. Not horrible numbers at BYU. He was 6th in the nation in scoring, but there's definitely some better talent, I think, in the draft. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. I hope he does. 6'5", 190. Looks like he's very, very lengthy. Obviously, I've never seen any of these non-customers before. I've just seen their stats and such like that. So the Indianapolis Shift are now on the clock. Indianapolis Shift, of course, won the title in year 1 and just could not quite get it done this year. Had a horrible start. Finals MVP James Long had one of the worst starts of the year I've ever seen from a guy of his caliber. 13-16 to finish the year. Still had the 2nd best defense, but the offense just wasn't there. Was not bottom 10, but I don't know how it wasn't bottom 10. As I would think that they would need a center, because Gus Hefflinger just is awful, and Whitling Raymond just hasn't been getting it done either. So I would think that they'd need a center here, or maybe even a shooting guard with some offensive scoring power. And there he is, big Shontel Livingston, 7'7". He's practically a ghost at 145 out of Arizona State. The sharpshooting big man. There's your offensive firepower, and obviously he is going to keep up the defense at 7'7". So let's go ahead and take a look at his college stats. Chantel Livingston averaged 19.2 points, 8.9 boards, 1.9 assists, 3.1 blocks, and a steal. He was 6th in the nation in blocks. So rebounds are maybe not where you'd want him to be, at below 10 in college for a guy of his size, but that's definitely something he can work on. And he was mainly there to score. If you saw the draft combine, he hit quite a few threes, even while on the move. As now the Washington White Whales are on the clock. One of the few teams, I think the only team last year that traded in the draft. As let's see what they do here. They've been right around 14 and 15 every single year. This year they finished at 13 and 16, and I would think that the White Whales would need a center here. They traded for Cousins last year, the shift center, who is a high flyer, very, very good, maybe a little undersized, but they still need a backup center or somebody else to play center, because after he was out, they didn't have really another big man to get in there and get boards or anything like that. So I would think that they're taking Dimboyago Ayo out of Haiti, or maybe even Nathan Haynes, as they're going to take Cam Sutton, who is probably the best. Yeah, if I had to take a guess, he was who I would have predicted to be the best non-custom in the draft. There's your big man. He's 6'10 and 220, even though he says he's a power forward, can definitely play center. As his stats from college, 22.9 points, 11.5 rebounds, big-time rebounds from Cam Sutton, 3 assists, 2.6 blocks, and 1.3 steals. He was 6th in the nation in rebounds. And not only that, I mean, 23 points a game. It's definitely something to behold. The Providence Friar is headed out to Washington. Hopefully he can get things done for their big men. They've taken power forwards taken power forwards 2 years in a row, and like Sekou Smith said here, I don't know why he slid down so far. Definitely a very talented big man. As we are now on to the Brigade. The Brigade, 14 and 15. Last year had the 8th best defense, and their offense was middle of the pack. I would think that they need another big man here. Their guards aren't great, but they have a lot of depth at guard. But then at big man, they have DeJuan Jones and Mustafidin, and after DeJuan got hurt last year, they fell off big time down low. They didn't have anybody to play down there, and they were getting bullied down there. So I would think that they need a big man just for a little bit of depth down low, and they're going to take Rowdy Highlander, which once again, probably don't really know why he fell this far. 41-inch vertical. Definitely good defensively, like the Brigade like. He averaged 21 points, 8.9 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 3 blocks, and 2.5 steals. So a very good defensive specimen. Obviously, or not obviously, 8th in the nation in blocks. I don't know why I keep trying to say obviously like you guys know this, but 8th in the nation in blocks. Should be a big-time defender there for the Brigade, like I said, just like they like. So the Predators are now on the clock. The last pick in the lottery belongs to them. They were 14 and 15 as well last year, and they were middle of the pack and everything, but once again, they also need a big man. They took Dylan White last year, hoping he could be somewhat like his brother. He got hurt, didn't really play much, so maybe they can have a nice rookie combo, even though, Dylan White, he's not a rookie, but he played like 13 games last year, so he might as well be. As I think Dimboyago Ayo is who they would take, and we have a trade to announce. Oh boy, what's the trade? Interesting. They are trading this pick and their second round pick for Baja and Big E from the Cobras. I'm not going to try. That's why I haven't tried to say Big E's name, because Lord knows how to say that. But that's interesting. Our first trade. So the Predators get their big man and Big E, and they get a guard as well. And the Cobras may be looking to go into rebuild mode here with a pick. So I have no clue who the Cobras will take here, and they take Dimboyago Ayo. So that he will be matched up alongside Miles Waddell as a rookie big man duo. That is a deadly duo. 7'2", 288 out of Haiti. That might be the steal of the draft there for the Cobras. Dimboyago Ayo, 18.6 points, 14.7 rebounds, 3.1 assists, 3 blocks, and 1 steal. He was 2nd in the nation in rebounding and 9th in the nation in blocks. So not only do they have Ayo, they also have Waddell, who is 7th in the nation in rebounds and 3rd in blocks. A lot of rebounds going to be coming the Cobras' way is what it sounds like. They got a very nice big man duo. Great example of the type of player that someone knows where to position himself to grab every rebound. Yep, was the best in the country. I had him at second. Maybe he was tied for first. I had him second best. And as now we are out of the lottery, on to the Flamingos and two-time MVP winning Akili Antonov. Sure, he has quite a bit to do with this pick. I'm sure he's weighing in quite a bit. The Flamingos finished just 13-16, but it was good enough to get them into the playoffs. And they actually made it to round number 2, where they lost to the Apollos, who would go on to win the Eastern Conference. They had the second worst defense and the fourth best offense. I would guess that they're going to take a forward who's got some defensive chops, especially since Kanye Jordan is going to be a free agent, as they're taking Brett Fielder out of Texas Tech, 6'6", 215. Fielder is the head of the draft class in that department. In basketball IQ, he sure is just a country kid who picked up a basketball, averaged 20.7 points, 6.3 rebounds, 3.3 assists, 2.1 blocks, and 2.5 steals. Just a very all-around small forward and a very good pickup this late in the draft for the Flamingos. Baltimore Hustlers now on the clock. They took Will Kendrick with their first-round pick last year. They finished 13-16 as well and lost in 7 to the Titans in round 1. They had the 4th worst offense, but the 9th best defense. I would guess that they're going to take some offensive firepower here. I have Vlad Jeremic or Leo Hammonds going here, and they're going to take Carlton Blunt. I did not even realize that Carlton Blunt was still available. How in the world is Carlton Blunt still available? 23.3 points, 10.5 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 2.8 blocks, and a steal. Maybe a little undersized at 6'8", playing power forward, but still 10th in the nation in points. He will definitely be a huge help offensively for the Hustlers, and he will be no slouch defensively either. Very good pick. I like the way that he's going to fit in there, as he performed the most bench reps too, so he's obviously quite strong. As the Eastern Conference champs are now on the clock, of course got beat in 6 games in the finals. They were only 14-15 during the regular season, which is not even that good. But they did lose in 6 of the finals. They had the worst defense in the regular season last year. Obviously not in the playoffs, because they made it all the way to the finals. But they had the 9th best offense, but the worst defense in the entire league. You got to go defensive here if you're the Apollos, and they do. They take the center power forward Nathan Haynes out of North Carolina, 6'9", 230 pounds, a defensive specimen who can fly out of the gym, which is why he will most likely be playing one of these big man spots. Nathan Haynes, 17.8 points, 10.6 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 4.3 blocks, and 1.8 steals. Led the nation in blocks at 4.3 despite only being 6'9". Keep in mind there is a guy who is 10 inches taller than him in this draft class who did not average more blocks than this man. Just a rebounding and a defensive beast. Will definitely be that for the Apollos. Maybe even will match up with Oakley in the backcourt in the starting lineup. That would be quite cool. Absolutely intimidating shot blocker. Led the country, like I just said. Memphis Knights now on the clock. The Knights were 15-14 last year. I think they were the first team that we have in here with a winning record. They went down in round 1 in 7 games of the Royals. They had the 8th worst offense, but the best defense in the league. Obviously, you got to go offensive here if you're the Knights. You already have the best defense in the league. And they're taking Clyde the Glide Hickson. Once again, based on what I have, which is obviously not incredible, I did not have... I don't even know if I have this guy's stats, because I don't think I had him going in the first round. Yeah, none of the mock drafts had this guy even going in the first round, and the Knights just took him at 18th. So this may be a huge reach. I'm going over him one more time to make sure. Maybe a huge reach here for the Knights. So let's see what Rob Mahoney has to say about him. See, this has a surprise pick. Yeah, not only Hicks upside, but also bring to the table as his rookie season. So they're saying what I'm saying, and maybe that Clyde Hickson was not the right way to go here. We'll see how he pairs up with Ivan Heinsohn. Now they got a little Twin Towers going on, but I don't know much about him. We'll have to wait until the season to see. I like the little bit of suspense. 19th pick goes to the Pandas. 15 and 14 last year. They got swept in round 1 by the Bison, who had the best record in the league. Now, they had the 6th best offense and had a very middle-of-the-pack defense. I would expect them to go just somewhat with the best talent available, and they're going Brevin Bridges out of Indiana, who was also there with Rustin and Zane. He is not a custom prospect, as let's bring up his stats. Brevin Bridges averaged 20.6 points, 5.2 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 1 block, and 1.2 steals. Was not top 10 in the nation in anything, but very solid numbers nonetheless for Bridges. Looking to be more of a scoring threat than anything. It was a joy to watch last season in Indiana. Savvy situation awareness and endless motor really set him apart from the rest of the pack. His upside remains in question, as Indiana had 3 guys go in the top 20. Nice job, IU. As the Portland Pioneers now on the clock, they gave the Moose a big run for their money in round number 1. Took the champs to 7 games. They only finished 15 and 14 in the regular season. Had the 10th worst defense in the entire league, and were middle of the pack in offense. Another team that I would think would just go with the best player available, as they're going to go Leo Hammonds, who I did not have them taking him. I had them taking Trey Daniels, who is a very, very similar player, as Leo Hammonds averaged 22 points, 4.1 assists, or 4.1 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 0.7 blocks, and 1.2 steals. Ability to hit the NBA 3 was put on display in the combine. He hit more than any other player. Yeah, very much a scorer that the Pioneers are picking up. Like I said, it'll probably be a nice addition to the backcourt out of Pittsburgh. Charlotte Cougars on the clock. The Cougars, 15 and 14 last year, lost in 5 games to the Skyliners in round number 1. Were middle of the pack in offense, but had the 4th worst defense. It's honestly a wonder how they were this good, or how they were that good in the regular season. I think what I would do if I was the Cougars, I would take Zelimir Zakoja, the very defensive-minded center, and I'd move Akabano Shang up to the power forward and let him dominate up there and go with a big man duo. They're not going to do that. They're taking Sergei Ostrovsky. Sergei Ostrovsky out of Russia. I think he's the only Russian we have in the draft this year, as he will head out to Charlotte as I try to find his numbers. Sergei Ostrovsky averaged 15.2 points, 2.8 rebounds, but 13.7 assists, as they're definitely looking for some playmaking, and 2 steals, but no blocks. He was 2nd in the entire nation behind only Brandon Cripps in assists, so they're definitely looking for a little bit of playmaking at their 1, maybe even a starter there in Sergei out of Russia. Once again, stacked draft class. I mean, the guy that was 2nd in the nation in assists just went 21st, as Sean Devenley is not swayed. It says they got to trust the process with Sergei. Obviously, he did play in Russia. Chicago Enforcers now on the clock. Chicago was 16 and 13 last year, lost in round 1 to the Apollos. Very middle of the pack and everything. I'd just suggest to them that they take the best available player. They're grabbing Georges. The big A. We're going to call him GG. I like GG. GG out of Greece. We're going to treat him like Giannis. We're not going to call him Giannis. We're not going to call him Antetokounmpo. We're going to call him the Greek Freak. We're calling him GG. And GG averaged, I'm calling him GG because I can't pronounce his name in the slightest, 21.2 points, 4.9 rebounds, 3.4 assists, a steal, and a block. Just a very overall player. Definitely what we expected from the Enforcers. He will need time to develop into a consistent contributor at this level. Front office exercise patient while he develops. So they're saying he's a long developing player. Next up, the Wranglers. 16 and 13 last year as well. They lost in the Western Conference Finals to the Moose in 5 games. Had the 10th best defense and a pretty middle-of-the-pack offense. I think they need another forward to go on their team, and they do. They take Tony Hines. That is exactly who I had them taking. As Tony Hines, out of Cincinnati, averaged 13.6 points, 9.9 rebounds, 1.8 assists, 1.8 blocks, and 1 steal. So a very good player, maybe a double-double machine there. A very good rebounder for his size and his position. Should fit in nicely with the Wranglers. Yeah, Sean agrees. Love this pick for the Wranglers with his game, because you see Hines being a solid contributor for the next decade. Good Lord. He just got taken 24th overall, or 23rd overall, and they're saying for the next decade he'll be all right. Skyliners up next. 16 and 13 last year. They lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Apollos. They had the 5th worst defense in the entire league, and I think that they need some depth at center. as because they really don't have many people behind Jean Francis. They're taking Mingyu Liu. Not going to address the defense at all because Mingyu Liu is very much a scoring problem. Third in the nation in scoring last year, 26.2 points, 5.1 assists and rebounds, 0.9 blocks, and 2.2 steals. So he can definitely play a little bit of defense with those steals and a block, but very much just a scoring threat. Like I said, second or third in the nation in scoring. And just goes to show once again how stacked the draft class is, because we have the guy at 24th, third in the nation in scoring. Rob Mahoney says Skyliners fans should be excited about his ceiling. I think he is very right. As Arizona Blaze are up next, 17-12, have had great success here in the BSGL. Lost in round 1 and 7 to the Wranglers, who went all the way to the conference finals. They had the third best offense and a very middle of the pack defense. I think you just got to take best person overall here. They're taking Del Cartwright out of Gonzaga. Del Cartwright averaged 16 points, 2.2 rebounds, 13 assists, and 1.8 steals. Was third in the entire nation in assists. Got to be happy with that pick if you are the Blaze. Definitely a distributor, a 5-star All-American recruit coming out of high school. Oh, he's got some injuries. Ooh, that's not good. Injuries, huh? Royals are next. The Royals 19-10 last year, 4-3. They were 19-10 last year. They lost 4-3 in 7 games to the Moose in round 2. They had the second best offense and the third worst defense. Pretty obvious what they're going to draft here. In my opinion, they got to draft somebody defensively. I've got them taking Reuben Harper or Cecil Goodrich, as they're going to take Alan Meyer out of Minnesota, 6'6" at shooting guard. I don't think I have him either. I do not think I have Big Al. I sure don't. And this guy says this is about where he expected Meyer to get drafted. No doubt first round talent. Well, none of the mock drafts had him at first round, so he will be an interesting one to see how he does. Is now Bison on the clock. They were 20-9 last year. Lost in round 2 and 7 to the Wranglers. Third best defense and the 7th best offense. They were top 10 or top 7, I should say, in both. I think they need a little bit of depth at guard or center. And we have yet another trade to announce. Let's see what it is. Well, there's the center that I was talking about. They're going to trade their pick for Zagato. So there's the center, like I said, they were talking about. And let's see who the Sharks take with this pick. They're taking Jeb Verney out of Australia. I thought for a second they might draft another center, which wouldn't have made much sense, but they probably get rid of a lot of cap that way. Jeb Verney out of Australia. Got to find his numbers. Jeb Verney averaged 21.6 points, 6.4 rebounds, 4.9 assists, 1.8 blocks, and 3.4 steals. Was second in the nation in steals. Universally loved Verney's game, but his unknown status here domestically will bewilder Sharks fans for a big-name player they know. Okay. Basically, he said he's not from the United States. 3 more picks left in round number 1. Then we're going to speed round it through round number 2. Cincinnati Bulldogs, 20-9 last year as well. Had lost in 6 games to the Flamingos in round number 1, which is a huge upset. Had the 7th best defense and the 5th best offense. They were the Bisons of the East. They were very, very good. But I still think they could use another forward, and there he is. Aaron Lowe gets picked up by the Bulldogs. Isn't the fastest player, the strongest player, the best shooter. He's a well-rounded game, good enough to catch the attention of the NBA scouts. Let's check out his college stats. Aaron Lowe averaged 11.9 points, 9.8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2.1 blocks, and 1 steal. So like Sean Devaney said here, very all-around player. So Titans are up next. Titans' best record in the league last year at 21-8. First best offense, mediocre defense, but it was that offense that got them going as they lost to the Skyliners in round 2 and 6. And I would think that they're taking Clyde Hickson or Doug Hendricks. Another trade to announce. What do we got? They are going to trade their first. Whoa. They're going to trade their first. They're going to trade this pick, obviously, and their first rounder in 2023 for DJ Jolly Harper and the Bulldogs' second round pick. Very interesting. Jolly Harper, very good player, obviously, an 83 overall, was a big contributor to the Bulldogs last year. As they're taking Cecil Goodrich out of Colorado, who's another guy that I don't know how he has not gone already. Cecil Goodrich averaged 13.5 points, 6.8 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 2.8 blocks, and 2.4 steals. Just a defensive stalwart. And Cecil Goodrich, going to be a very lockdown, outmuscle his opponent. Yeah, should be very good. As the last pick in round number 1 belongs to the Moose. Of course, they won the finals with the 6th best defense and the 9th best offense. I would guess that they're going to take a backup here, obviously, as they're taking Trey Daniels. That is a big pickup for them in the scoring department. Out of Georgia Tech, Trey Daniels averaged 24.8 points, 5.6 assists, 4.7 rebounds, 1.7 blocks, and 3.3 steals. 5th in scoring and 3rd in steals, and he went 30th overall. I keep saying it, but this draft class is stacked. Absolutely stacked. As let's start flying through round number 2. We still have a couple guys who were in the mock drafts for round 1 that have not gotten taken yet. Hence an offensive type player. Yes, he is. Marks the end of the first round. The second round will be conducted by Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum. Adam Silver says, thank you for the support. Love you, Adam. Let's go, Mark Tatum. Gotta love when Mark Tatum comes up and everybody starts heading for the exits. So the Huskies with the first pick in round 2 takes Tudor Bushku, who I expected to go way, way earlier. But he is a around-the-world talent, which I guess has a big impact on the draft, or especially the players in the draft, as he was another defensive guy all the way. 14.7 points, 7.3 rebounds, 2.9 assists, 3.1 blocks, and 2.6 steals. And at just 6'8", he was tied for 3rd in the nation in blocks and tied for 5th in steals. I mean, that is very, very good defensively from Tudor Bushka. It'll be interesting to see how much he really plays for the Huskies. It's very rare that I criticize a pick, but I like the Huskies. They can wait to bring him over to the NBA. Nice, nice. Utah Buzz are up. They take Brian Cook, one that I do not know much about. Led all the shooting guards of the draft combined with 13 bench reps. Okay. So a strong shooting guard, literally. Vlad Jeremic goes to the Sharks out of Serbia. I think I do have his stats, as he averaged 24.1 points, 4.6 assists, 5 rebounds, 0.6 blocks, and 2.1 steals. 7th in the nation in scoring, goes 33rd overall. Rumblings of Vlad Jeremic will go in the first round, but he slid to the Sharks here as teams shied away from the unknown aspects of his game. Atlanta Legends now on the clock. They're taking Harry Taylor, 6'9", 226 out of LSU. Do not know much about Harry Taylor, I do not believe. Actually, I do have his numbers. 23.6 points, 4.9 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 1 block, and 1.6 steals. Was 9th in the nation in scoring. We are still getting guys who were in the top 10 in the nation in scoring here all the way this deep into round number 2. His Goblins are now on the clock. I'm still waiting on old Zelimir Zakoja to get drafted. He's our last custom, as they're going to take Lamond Walker, who averaged 17.8 points, 9.2 rebounds, 2.6 assists, 2.6 blocks, and a steal. Very good all-around player there out of Villanova. Once again, should be interesting to see if, he hit 40 out of 50 college threes, but should be interesting to see how much he plays for the Goblins. Wolfpack now on the clock. They take an Anders Fredrickson, another guy who was expected to go in round 1. Averaged 12.3 points, 10.8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2.1 blocks, and 1 steal. Was 9th in the nation in reboundings. Never seen Anders play, but scouts love his game. Interesting for Sean to say that he's never seen him play, but he's going to comment on him. Boston Hill toppers up. Ivan Jusic from Croatia. 21.8 points, 5.3 rebounds, 3.6 assists, a steal, and a block for Jusic. Definitely a scoring type player there that the Hilltoppers are picking up. Hype as the recent weeks suggest there's something big happening with him. Oh boy. So they're saying Jusic might have been the right pick. Cobra's now on the clock with their 3rd pick of the entire draft. Hugh Spencer out of Houston. Don't have the numbers for Hugh, but once projected as a high middle of the first round, Spencer have to settle for starting him because his journey. Okay, so he's saying that the Cobras may have gotten another steal, and that guy should have gone way earlier. Sacramento Sting on the clock. They want Jordan Tucker. Once again, don't know much about old Jordan. Looking at the current Sting roster, I'm not sure where Tucker fits into this jigsaw puzzle. Spending some time in the G League, okay? So they just drafted a developmental player there for the Sting. Baltimore Hustlers on the clock. They want Max Hodges out of Massachusetts. It seems like the last couple guys have been from Massachusetts. Hodges has to be pretty disappointed to fall into the second round, but he feels like the Hustlers organization want to give him the best opportunity to succeed. I'm going to guess he's a defensive guy if the Hustlers drafted him. Miami Flamingos now on the clock. Ruben Harper out of Pepperdine. 6'10", another guy I don't know anything about. I think I'm not going to know anything about the rest of these guys. I think everybody that I have on my board here, except for Zelimir, has been drafted. So let's just let the old NBA guys take it over. Lang Whitaker says, Abdomen has been the entire narrative surrounding his draft story. Flamingos took a chance hoping that he can fully heal. Oh, so they're taking another hurt guy. Indianapolis shift on the clock. Sean Pollard, the point guard out of Wisconsin, showed tremendous athleticism at the draft with a 42-inch vertical. Holy cow, that's like the highest in the whole draft, I think. 42 at 6'4", yeah, I'd say he's quite the athlete. San Diego Sharks take Lamar Rollins, 6'11", 242 out of Maryland. Showed his range to the draft by coming making more NBA threes than any other power forward, so he's a stretch 4 for the Sharks. Gotta love that. Minnesota Moose take Doug Hendricks. As now that I'm thinking about it, I think I may have Doug's numbers. Doug Hendricks averaged 15.5 points, 3.6 rebounds, 5.1 assists, 0.1 blocks, and 2.5 steals. Tied for 10th in the nation in steals. So you gotta love to see, guys that can score and play a little defense, especially at the guard position. The days leading up to the draft after the crease, had in Arkansas, you fully expected to go in the first round. Yeah, I don't think you were good enough to go in the first round there, Dougie. Orlando Apollos, finally, somebody takes Zelimir. As I guess him being from Croatia definitely hurts. Not a lot of game tape from what you've seen him. He looks to be the team player that can move the ball around the court and isn't afraid to take a shot when needed. Fans can rest easy on this one. Yeah, definitely can rest easy on that one. In the EuroLeague, he averaged 14.9 points, 15.7 boards, 3 assists, 3.2 blocks, and a steal. I guess he was in college or whatever, because they all technically were. He was first in rebounds, first in rebounds and second in blocks in the entire nation. Once again, I don't know how he fell all the way to 45th, but he's got to be, Apollo's got to be in love with that pick. It would not surprise me if he started. That's how confident I am in old Zelimir. So Cobra's taking another pick. They're taking Jack Clark out of North Carolina State. Their summer league team is going to be crazy. Not surprised to see Clark get drafted here after leaving the draft combine with more made NBA three-pointers than any other small forward. Okay, another scorer for the Cobras is exactly what they need. Jamal Rush out of Texas Tech goes next. I'm interested to see just how many of these guys will actually get picked up, because like I said, last year there was like 2 that got picked up. From being a walk-on at Texas Tech, interesting. Rush is not officially an NBA player following his second-round selections. One of the hard work and perseverance. I'll be rooting for him. He played alongside Brett Fielder in college if he went to Texas Tech. Cougars now on the clock. They want Johnny Buford out of Providence, a star at Providence. Many NBA scouts question how well Buford's game will adapt to the NBA level. Okay, so they're not sure if he'll be a real NBA talent. Will Hammonds out of Drake, not Duke, but Drake. The 6'4" shooting guard goes next to the Pioneers. Another 42-inch vertical. Yeah, showing off the best vert in the entire draft class. So everybody with a 42-inch tied. So the Wranglers get a high flyer. The Pioneers get a high flyers. Reggie Thomas goes to New Orleans out of Florida. A steal in the second round. Thomas is a humble and versatile player who will work hard every day. Potential to be a contributing rotation player right away. Interesting. The Pandas getting a steal. Once again, I don't really know the mock drafts messed up so bad. Ernest Hodges. How many centers are the Knights going to draft? I love this pick for the Knights. Ernest Hodges is easily the best interior defender in the class, and he will quickly become one of the best in the NBA. Wow. Lang Whitaker has high praise for Ernest Hodges out of Kansas. I don't know that I definitely would not say he's the best interior defender in the class, considering the fact that we have a 7'7" guy in there and a 6'9" guy that averaged 4.5 blocks. But I have been wrong before. I hope I'm wrong again, and I hope that he does well here for the Knights. But I honestly don't know where he's going to play, because I think they have about 15 centers on their roster. As Bryant Perry goes from Cincinnati, goes to the Skyliners at 52. All pretty similar. Not sure the thing has much to prove that the Skyliners is going to get that chance. Okay. Wow, how in the world? Valmilton Costa out of Brazil. 6'8" power forward goes to the Wranglers. Never seen this kid play. And any media pundit out there says he isn't willing to tell you. Who says he isn't telling the truth. You had to believe the Wranglers should perform their due diligence on this guy. So he's saying that nobody's ever seen this guy play, so they could have just drafted a guy who's actually 6'1" instead of 6'8" or something. Scott Willis with 1 T out of Oregon goes to the Enforcers. Sean Devaney says it was a no-brainer for the Enforcers. Best player available at the time. Arizona Blaze are now on the clock. They're taking Boris Cross out of LaSalle. Scouts love Cros's ability to play the passing lane thanks to his 6'9 wingspan at a 6'3 point guard. Good lord. Yeah, so definitely a defensive guy there for the Blaze. As Jacob Dennis gets drafted by the Moose, gotta love going to the Champs. According to the best lane agility time from the shooting guards at the DraftCon time, the Moose told me heading into the draft that they would be keeping an eye on his availability. Anaheim Royals now on the clock. They want Sheldon Boyd out of Mississippi State. What is a self-made player who can make a solid role player for the Royals? Nice selection at this point in the draft. Like, they don't even know what to say about the rest of these guys. In the last 2 or 3 picks goes to the Titans. They want Owen White out of Cincinnati. Very deserving player who's a star at Cincinnati. White will make... Maybe he'll be a little, like the little general, because they've got Doug White and now Owen. Oklahoma Bison now on the clock. They take Junior Robinson, who was 7'1" out of St. John's. We all know Junior Robinson was one of the best three-point shooters in the nation last year. So a big-time stretch 5 for the Bison. He might be one to look out for, even taking this late in the draft. And now, who is Mr. Irrelevant? It is J.T. Jefferson. 60th pick out of Baylor. Titans chose to go with the best overall talent left on the board. Well, it was the only pick left, as that concludes your 2021, your second ever BSGL draft. As here we can see, like I said, Brandon Cripps a little bit old for the draft. To see his 25, the rest of the guys below him all 22 or lower. But maybe the Goblins reached a little bit, taking a 77 when an 81 was out there. It looks like Miles Waddell was the best overall in the draft. So let's see if we can find any steals. Yeah, once again, what are the Wolfpack doing? Taking a 75 at 10th. Cam Sutton ended up being a 74. I'm more interested in seeing, because obviously I know what these non-customs are, but I'm interested in seeing what the actual customs are. As maybe Alonzo Copeland was the best custom. Rowdy Highlander as Dimboyago Ayo. What a steal for the Cobras. A 78 overall at 14th. Definitely worth trading up for. Brett Fielder at 78 as well. Carlton Blennon up being a 75. Nathan Haynes is a 79 overall and will be a big problem there for the Apollos, taking 17th. Clyde Hickson was a 72, so definitely a reach pick for the Knights. That's what they said. Brevin Bridges ended up being a 75. 74 for Hammond. Sergei Ostrovsky for the Cougars was definitely a reach. As Gigi ends up being a 74. Tony Haynes was a reach as well. Lou looks pretty good. For 24th, he'll definitely take a 74 overall. Jeb Verney's looking like a steal at 75. So let's see if we can find anybody above a 75 in round number 2. As a 65 got taken, a 67 for the Moose. A lot of really low overalls here in the second round. A lot of 72s. There's a 73. This looks like Jamal Rush. As there he is, Zelimir Zakoja, looking like the steal of the second round. The only one above a 75 is what it's looking like. Is Tudor Bushka was a 75 as well. Looks like he's got a year left in the EuroLeague, so I don't even know if he's going to be playing in the league next year. Harry Taylor and Lamont Walker, both 74s. Got to love that for the Legends and Goblins. Got to love anything above like a 73 in round number 2. That's pretty much a steal. Ivan Jucic looking a lot better. Harges and Harper both look all right. This is all just based on overall. Rollins is 73, but like I said, I don't know why Zelimir fell so far, as Nathan Haynes and Zelimir Zakoja will be pairing up for the Apollos. So that's very exciting. I love seeing rookie duos, and I am so excited to see Miles Waddell and Dimboyago Ayo pair up for the Cobras. I mean, that is just that's going to be great. Just seeing two rookies, big men. Definitely, especially in the Summer League. So I'm going to guess that they're probably going to dominate a little bit in the Summer League. That is all the time I have for the draft. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Let me know, you guys that actually made custom prospects, what you think about where your pick went. Tell me if you think you should have gone higher or lower. Obviously, if you think you should have gone higher, like if you were Brett Fielder, I mean, you went 15th, but you went to the Flamingos, so you get to play with a two-time champ. So obviously there's ups and downs to going just about anywhere. But yeah, we'll see all of you guys in the next video. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see all you guys next time. Bye-bye.